one another as I have loved you. Love one another as I have loved you. Love one another as I have loved you.
Really, we're going to focus in on two of the principles of this amazing woman. We could talk for hours on the various different principles you can extract from her life, but I'm going to choose to focus on two, and that's radical faith and service. Just an amazing life. So here are the facts of her life. She was born in 1910 to what is now known as the capital of Macedonia, to a very close-knit family. Her father died when she was 8 in 1919. In 1928, at which time, unbeknownst to her, would be the last time that she saw her loving biological mother, she left home in 28 to join the Sisters of Loretto in Ireland, where she lived and loved to work for the next 20 years. In 1946, she has a mystical experience where she sees Jesus on a train. She was riding on the train, she sees Jesus, and Jesus tells her, I want you to go to India to serve the poorest of the poor. She brings this request, this mystical experience, to her superiors, at which time they said, let's see if this broad is crazy. And they let her sit with that for 2 years while they discern it and they deliberate. Her superiors, up through the Pope, had to give her permission. It's not just like, oh, Claudia feels like starting a church. Let's just open a building, rent some space, $100 a week, put flowers on the thing, and we go. No, for her to do her work, she had to get agreement from the Pope. So for 2 years, she waited with a burning desire. You should see some of the letters she wrote. She begged them. She told them of this. Jesus came to her and told her, this is what I want you to do. And they said, you know what? You're getting on my nerves. Don't even think about this. Now imagine a burning desire. How many of us sit in these classes and in these services helping us to understand, what is my divine mission? What's my divine purpose? But guess what? She knew hers, and she knew that she knew that she knew. But she had to sit with it for 2 years. Wow. And this is what happened. In 1948, the superiors told her, she said, you could go. You can go now. You can leave the life. Because she lived with the Sisters of Loretto in Ireland, and she loved it. But you can leave this life, and you can start your mission in India. And she started it. She started it as a band of one. Nobody was with her. She had no financial support either from the church or the government. And for this, and for other reasons, Mother Teresa, as she started the Missionaries of Charity in Calcutta, she lived the next 50 years in a state of depression, desolation, and apartness from God. 50 years. 50 years she did not feel consolation or closeness to God. However, none of the Missionaries of Charity, the other sisters who began to join her, ever knew of it. In fact, she demanded cheerfulness as she served the poor. And so it was. While being depressed. Anybody ever experienced minor depression and how hard it is to get out of bed sometimes? Yes. She did it for 50 years. She received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1979. She accepts it on behalf of God and the poorest of the poor. In 1983, she suffers her first heart attack, and thereby starts a pattern of cardiovascular issues that would plague her for the rest of her natural life. However, this did not stop her from her mission. In 1985, she establishes what would be the first of many AIDS missionaries around the world. In March of '97, she steps down from the head of the Missionaries of Charity due to failing health. In September of the same year, she makes her transition 1 week, some of you may remember, after her dear new friend, Princess Diana of Wales.
That's right.
So everybody was pitching all sorts of a fit about Diana. Teresa died almost in the shadows of that. She wouldn't have minded, I'm sure. In 2002, she's recognized for the first official healing attributed to her, and that was the healing of a tumor on a woman by the name of Monica Bezra. Since her death, There have been 4,200 what they are calling supernatural healings that have been attributed to people who have prayed to her. 4,200. Quite the amazing life. Quite the story of courage and overcoming adversity. So if you have adversity in your life today, let's see what we can extract from Teresa. But I know one thing for sure. The next time I want to go to bed with a sink full of dirty dishes, I'm going to think of her. See if I can't get those bad boys cleaned. So what are the principles she embraced to be able to carry out such an amazing, inspiring, and unique life? In other words, what did she have? Can we learn from that? And can we make it part of our daily rituals to impact our life for the better? Because that's what it's about when we study any of the master teachers that are inspiring people. They're everywhere. What did she do? How was she able to do this? So I talked about it. The two things we're going to focus on, two only, because you don't want me to lose spit here talking all day long, is radical faith and service. Radical faith and service. So she lived by the principle of radical faith. The records of correspondence she had with her trusted superiors show that after her mystical experience in 46, she lived out the rest of her natural life in profound separation from God. Profound. And there are no records that it let up. I can't imagine. I've suffered from depression. I had a bad bout earlier in the year. I can't imagine. I was on the phone with Ro, like every day, and her sister and her mother. I needed like troops of people around me. She told no one, except her superiors. None of the people to her left and her right knew. She just kept on keeping on. I can't imagine that. Despite this, she never veered from her mission to serve the poorest of the poor, to show them the face of God. This was very important to her. The people who were literally stepped over, who were being eaten by bugs in the street of India. She never veered from that to take care of, to tend to her own trials and tribulations. She never veered. She was an empty vessel, but it turns out that this empty vessel was quite suitable for God to come in and do a mighty work. Anybody ever feel empty? I can't. I just can't do it. I can't face another day like this. She had those every day. She had them every day. She's quoted as saying she had little to offer God. She was nothing special. She wasn't smart. She wasn't skilled. Anybody ever feel that way? Whether true or not, that's how this woman felt. But you know what she did have? She had trust. And she had persistent faith in God. Go back to 46 when she heard from Jesus on the train. She knew that she knew that she knew, and nothing was going to get in her way. To this day, you read her works, her letters, or the biographies written about her. That was the only thing she felt she had. Radical persistence. She wouldn't let go of her mission. She wouldn't let go of that spark that God lit inside of her. The moral of the story is even broken, lacking, or sick, God can and will show up in each one of us and do a mighty work. There was nothing special about Teresa as she was born as Agnes in what now is the capital of Macedonia. There was nothing different in us from her. Our starting point, our potential. Nothing different. If you can imagine how devoid of power and strength she must have felt, the confusion, disillusionment, and bewilderment she must have felt. Without money or means to sustain her ministry, and yet she believed in divine providence. Over and over again, the thing I hear more than anything else in all my studies of Teresa is, God will provide. You're broke, God will provide. You're angry, God will provide. You don't have a job today, God will provide. And this little lovely angel back here is providing for me right now because she's drawing pictures. This is a picture of me. And she's drawing more pictures of me. Here, let me see what you have now, sweetheart. How lucky am I?
It's a song.
It's a song? Very good. Later we're going to have you sing it for us, okay?